obviously, in the case that I wasn't prepared for this, you have to realize that I'm just using what I have at this point. I managed to actually finish this game for the first time because I always stopped after like 4 Mavericks. And then I was like, cool. Does it have any value in showing this off? When I've already done Maverick Hunter X? I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is this
Oh, I
something
thought that was
that...
a warning to the audience, but no.
Nah, mine would be in basic font with like either a black screen or just a picture because I really
This
editing
is
those.
actually dumb. No, I thought the game was warning the audience, but this is in universe. But why would a warning be flashing red and black? It makes it harder to read. Just make it black or make it red.
It's well, I guess it's to show the urgency or something.
It's like actually a very specific reference. It's like in Star Trek Lower Decks, the bridge, the view screen. When the ship goes to red alert, there's a light around the view screen that starts flashing red, and it's like how if the light you're supposed to be looking at the screen, so light flashing around the screen makes it harder. It's kind of what I thought of.
Well, okay then. I guess you were right about that previous statement.
But yeah, something I was gonna save until the video. Or do you want to start out with some?
Not really.
So I feel like a pro gamer in Fortnite. And it's interesting because I spent years, I was that guy who always complained about console shooters and you have to shoot with a controller, and I'm still that person because it's still bad. But yeah, I don't have the patience to wait for a 20 gig download on my computer. So I just got it for my Switch. And I guess you could say fortunately gotten used to shooting with a controller. But the thing is that Nintendo, I don't know if other shooters do this, but Nintendo's ahead of the curve with Splatoon. Because they did the thing where you can just use motion controls for the finer movements, and it's like a dream come true. So it's pretty much it's like the gap between mouse and keyboard and control is so much smaller now. So since Fortnite recently overhauled its gyro control, so I'm just like I feel like such a pro now. I'm just Splatoon trained me.
Yeah, still wish I could have a piece of that training. Especially with 3 coming out soon.
I mean, okay. Nintendo games don't go on sale. I was gonna say 2 often goes on sale for like $40, but that's probably still too much for you.
Dude, after all the stuff that I managed to get, especially with the gracious lending of one of my friends to my cause, like, I can't spend $40 on a game for like, I don't know, 6 months. If things continue as they are now, which they have been for about a few years, then I'm probably gonna have to wait till the latter part of the year to start spending something as huge as 40 to 60 bucks.
Quite rigid on that front, but I do, like, for example, I have to buy No Man's Sky, and I have to buy that at launch. So, knowing that for the Switch, I'm just gonna assume it's $60. So, all of my budget for what I plan to do with things, I just have to remove 60 from my savings. Because that's just something that just has to happen.
I know we've. Sorry, let me just finish this thought because I think I'm going to forget it. I know we've had this similar talk before in the case of me relaying if we ever had time travel technology, me relaying this information to a past version of you would be shocking. But now I have it compounded. where before I was just like, I can't wait to tell your past self, hey, you needed to buy No Man's Sky. And then, after that, of all things, you're like, man, I'm so good at Fortnite.
Yes. And you know what? And it's something that this is always the case, and we go through this all the time. We went through this with Minecraft and with Five Nights at Freddy's. But after playing Fortnite, and I'm like, there's like nothing wrong with this game. And seeing the meme hate about it, it kind of put things into perspective. Not acting like I already knew that there a lot of games are kind of just hated for no reason. But I look at the amount of intense hate Genshin Impact gets, and I'm thinking, that game's probably perfectly fine.
It is, apart from, the obvious parts.
Yeah, the fact that it's a gacha game.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you could say the same with Fortnite. Any game with that Battle Pass deserves some mockery for its monetization, but,
I mean, regardless of whatever happens, it's still... Look, if you show up at my house, even though I love your company and everything, if I open the door and you're flossing, I'm closing that door immediately.
I wouldn't even... I'd literally probably trip over myself. Like, I don't know what to do. I can't even picture the dance in my head.
I can, because Sonic does it twice in the movie.
That's very cool. That's very funny. I'm picturing myself being bad at the dance.
Well, I have no sense of bodily rhythm, which, I wonder how the heck I got to level 6 in piano while still having no sense of bodily rhythm. But it's like, I'm not even going to bother. Like, when it's asking me to like dance, it's basically the same as asking me to speak in patois. Look, I know you only want me to do it for your amusement, but I will hate it, and so stop asking me.
Oh, that was well timed.
Yeah. Let's just say that my performance isn't the best here, because getting used to the controller I'm using for this type of game, plus the mapping isn't exactly the best and not as flexible as it originally seems. So a lot of mistakes are made early on when there's a period where I'm like, okay, the controls are fine enough, I guess. But then later I'm like, okay, never mind, they're not, and I have to change them. But then I have to get used to the changes I just made, because I was getting used to the original.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not as you'd expect, no high-level play is coming out from here. Just happy little accidents and probably just a few lucky things. But I never professed to be a Megaman expert. Sure, I beat Zero, the Zero series, but that was a lot of trial and effort and time. And eventually I did crumble and use save states on certain points, even though I didn't want to. But it's like, look, man, those games are like so unforgiving, and I guess I had less tolerance for starting over. Because really, if you know what you're doing, it's one of those things where when you die, you already know the bullcrap the level is sending your way, so you can actually tackle it a little bit better this time as you go, because the levels aren't exactly that long most of the time.
That reminds me of Naita, where basically it's something I've heard and it's kind of profound. And I guess you could call it profound. I just think it's interesting. Where, I mean, the game is, you can't really predict the stuff that's going to happen, since the worlds are procedurally generated. But in the end, it said that in Noita your only upgrade is experience. Like you always start the game in the exact same position, and the only thing that improves is your knowledge of how to pass things. And so, just the more you learn, the more you get better at playing the game. It's kind of true, except for the point that there's a point where I learned so much about the game that for a period I just got really bad at it. Because I learned, oh, you really benefit from spending as much time in the first area as possible. And so I'm spending so much time in the first area. But the more time you spend in any area is the more chances you get to be hurt and killed. So there's a period where my spending time in the first area really just meant I spent a lot of time in the first area and then I die right by the end. And so, yeah, that was an interesting experience.
You see, the tolerance level for that, it's weird how we're just like, yeah, I guess that's how this works. I know that the phenomenon of, hey, you were children and thus you had less options when dealing with games with that kind of structure, and so it was fine to you. But it's like, I wasn't exactly sure I was patient, but I wasn't the picture of patience. So how the heck was I feeling?
I think it just depends, because like I would say that I didn't really grow up with games, but the closest I can think of to Noita in the different stages of my life are Yoshi's Island and Donkey Kong Country. The thing is that those games are extremely fun, so the fact that I'm constantly dying and having to replay levels and searching around these labyrinth, especially Yoshi's Island's levels, which are basically all labyrinths, just looking for all the different items. I just loved the game, so I just had fun doing it. But yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yoshi's Island really is like Proto Noita. It's difficult, and you're searching all around for stuff that you need.
Well, I mean, my problem with Yoshi's Island was
The fact that the red coins were hidden, I loved that. I like.
I still
have
think
to
that
search.
no,
just look
I
around,
still
and
I
coin could be it. So
I
you're
still
encouraged to
think
look for all the coins.
I still think that is like 2 steps too far for a game that's already hard. I absolutely hate it and don't understand how you're like, yeah, this is a good idea.
If I were to complain about anything in Yoshi's Island, it would be that you shouldn't. You should full marks in a level should come from just 20 stars. You shouldn't have to need 30, because I don't think you don't get hit or you completely fill up your stars just to get the full points in the level. That's changing the star system. And I mean, the thing is, it's not so bad in Yoshi's Island because you can just stock up on items that give you stars. But Yoshi's Island DS, when those are just gone, and you're still expected to just keep your 30 stars, that I think is ridiculous. So I'm fine with the hidden coins, but the star thing is just like, that's too much for me.
Well, gosh, like, okay, I know I'm having controller issues here, which is why this is getting really pathetic. But I'm still like looking at myself like, controllers issues or not, I'm dying to chill Penguin.
You should just plug out the controller and just use the keyboard.
Yeah, my keyboard. I love to use it.
Oh, yeah. I remember now.
Yeah. So, I kind of didn't have a choice. But
it's kind of interesting with Switch. You can at least like disable the circle pad. I'm sure it's the circle pad you're having problems with. Just disable the circle pad and switch to using the D-pad, but I don't, because usually a PC game you're using both the circle pad and D-pad, unless it's like for this you wouldn't, but if I'm playing like Gunstar Reborn, yeah, I'm using that circuit pad. So if my circuit pad is giving me issues, I'm just not playing that because I just can't aim.
The problem is not so much the circle pad, but how not just like the distance between the buttons when it comes to doing these actions versus dashing. dash jumping and such is very important. So the fact that I can't do that properly right now, and you'll see the controller stuff getting weird again to the point where I have to recalibrate it again later when I take on Storm Eagle stage, you just know that this isn't going to be the best Megaman X playthrough you'll ever see.